Hi, this is Math Magic with Kaiden, and in this video, I am going to share with you 4 phrases that your P1 child needs to know and understand based on the MOE standards. So these are phrases that will be tested in their math workbook, in their math exams, and they need to know what it means. Next thing I'm going to share with you today is also how to familiarize your children with these phrases. How do you actually use it in daily language with them so they actually understand what these phrases mean. So the first phrase they need to know is the phrase more than. So in terms of numbers, they need to understand what is like 5 is more than 3. What is this? What's the meaning of the word more than? And they sometimes also need to know how many more than. So it's 5. 5 is 2 more than 3. All right. And 3 is 1 more than 2. That kind of phrasing, you need to let them understand what is the meaning of the word more than. And the next phrasing that they need to understand is the word fewer than or less than. Okay, so you can say 7 is less than 10. They must understand that 7 is less than 10, 10 is more than 7, and also that 7 is 3 less than 10. Okay, so 7 is 3 less than 10, and they must also know is what is 3 less than 10, and the answer is 7. Okay, so it's 10 minus 3 equals to 7. Now with all this more than, fewer than, they need to convert this into equations as well. So 5 is more than 3, that's simple, right? 5 is bigger than 3, but 5 is, so the question is what is 2 more than 3? So they need to be able to convert into 3 plus 2 equals to 5, right? They need to be able to convert this English sentence into a equation like this, and also this English sentence into an equation like this. And the third one is as much as or as many as. So they will say that Andy has as many toys as Bob. So then they need to know that Andy and Bob has the same amount of toys. This means as many as means the same. All right. As much as also means the same. Whether you use much or many is an English thing, whether it's countable or uncountable, but they need to know that Andy. So if Andy has 5, how many does Bob have? So they need to know that, and 5, Bob has 5 as well. Okay, so 5 equals to 5. And the last thing they need to know is the same as, so they need to understand that this and this 2 numbers are the same. So when they're comparing numbers, they're ordering numbers, they need to know that they have the same, and as many as are the same. It's the same concept. Okay, let's take a look at some examples from your Primary 1 syllabus. So circle the greater number. So they have to understand that 13 is greater than 11, 14 is greater than 13, like this. So they will also, of course, they can ask you circle the smaller number, and you have to circle the correct one. So this is some comparing questions. All right, compare the number of toy balls. So you need to understand that if I draw a line over here, this one is more than this, and this one is 2 fewer than that, and this is 2 more than this. So you need to test drill your child, right? Like if you want to compare Janice has what than Ravi. So your child has to say Janice has more than Ravi. Then you have to ask how many more? 1 more. And how do you relate Ravi to Janice? So Ravi has fewer than Janice. How many fewer? 1 fewer. Okay, so that's roughly. So that's exactly what they're doing here. Ravi has more balls than Peter, and Ravi has fewer than Janice. So they have to be very comfortable, right? And they have to understand that more and fewer are basically the same concept. All right. I just have to flip it over. More and fewer are basically the same. It's just one of them is looking from the perspective of, so if you compare Janice and Ravi, right? So Ravi has fewer than Janice. Janice has more than Ravi. And your child has to understand this, which is the same two things. One can be more than the other, and the other one can be fewer than this one. Yeah, they also need to learn the words greatest and smallest, and need to understand when they are, and understand that you can only use greatest and smallest when there are three things to compare. Okay, so when you have three people, Ravi, Janice, and Peter, then you can use the comparison greatest and smallest. If you do not have Peter, then you cannot use greatest and smallest. You have to use greater and smaller, fewer, or more. And they have to understand that the words smaller and fewer in mathematics mean the same. They have to understand that the words more and greater in mathematics mean the same. And they have to understand Ravi has, how many more balls do Janice have than Ravi? Is actually this number minus away this number. All right, they have to be able to count and write out the equation, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's 15 minus away 14 equals to 1. If it's at the beginning of the year, they don't need such big numbers. You can do like 7 minus away 3 equals to 4. But they still need to know that if I ask, how many more does Janice have? It's a mathematical, they need to convert how many more into a mathematical equation or mathematical statement like that. And you need to drill them to do this well. So let's look at this question. There are how many fewer tomatoes than pineapples? So you need to count the number of pineapples. And then after that, count the number of tomatoes. And they need to know that I have 15 pineapples minus 7 tomatoes equals to a certain number over here, 5, 6, 8 over here. So there are 8 fewer. And then you need to ask them how many more how many more pineapples than tomatoes are there. And the tricky thing, right, it's also the same working, you know. If the question is there are how many more pineapples than tomatoes, it's the same working, all right, which is 15 minus 7, which is 8 more. So they have to be very comfortable with flipping the more and fewer and less, and make sure that they understand that it's the same concept. It's just two different sides of the coin. Okay, so in this video, I went through the 4 phrases your P1 child needs to know and understand. And it's based on MOE standards, based with numbers, and how to familiarize. So the 4 phrases are more than, fewer than, as much as many as. And you need to let them know that more than, fewer than, greater, less, least. These are also words that used to describe numbers and sizes and number of things. More than, fewer than are basically the same sides of the two sides of the same coin. And how to familiarize with your children, right? You just need to keep drilling them. Ask them when you go outside, when you talk to them, ask them, this is how many more than that, this is how many fewer than that. They just need to understand that it is the two sides of the same coin, all right? Because once they are not familiar with this, then when they go on to harder problems, when they go on to addition within 40 or more than 40 or within 100 later on in a year, then it becomes a serious problem when they don't understand. So this is Math Magic with Kaiden. I hope you gain some value from this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me on the Facebook or YouTube, and like and subscribe my page. All right, thank you very much.